on the most wonderful day of the year.
Snowfall and gives us a candlelight. The spirit of giving surrounds us and mistletoe and pine. Everyone's getting excited, been waiting for this all year. It's time to make your last wishes, because Christmas is just about here.
Tis the season to be jolly, everybody feels young. Deck the halls with bells of holly, and let the stockings get hung. We like everything about Christmas, the holly and holiday cheer. Let's hurry up and get ready, 'cause Christmas is just about here. Deck the halls with bells of holly, fill up the candy jar. Light a candle in the window and sing of the Christmas song.
There's nothing like an old-fashioned Christmas with holly on the door and a bright Christmas tree for the whole family with presents all over the floor. There's nothing like the old favorite carols where neighbors talk to call. So the best I can wish you is an old-fashioned Christmas, that's all.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go.
Take a look at the flag again.
Listening once again, the candy canes and silver lanes of gold. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Joys in every store. But the prettiest sight to see is holly down the the winter, when the snow comes to cover the ground. It's a time for play, it's a whipped cream day, a winter is the whole year round. It's the young girl, take a sweetheart, take a walk with your favorite guy. It's a sugar day, what a spring and say, in winter it's so
my baby back to me. Please make no crazy hurry. The time is drawing near. It just won't seem like Christmas unless my baby's here. Don't fill my sock with candy, no bright and shiny toys. You wanna make me happy and fill my heart with joy. Then Santa, hear my plea. Santa, bring my baby back. Santa, bring my baby back to me. To me.
Soft mama kisses Santa underneath the mistletoe lamp. She did down the stairs.
is our objective family before Christmas, fireside family home meeting that we're having. And we thought with everybody gathered together, it would be fun to videotape it and send it to you. Since it's been a long time since you've seen a videotape. I don't know if you remember family home meetings a million years ago when you guys were little, but this was very much like that. Trying to keep babies from crying and kids from running around back and forth, but you'll enjoy it. You haven't seen what they're like anyway. So we're just going to put on this little program and read some stories and sing, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as we will. Okay, we're going to start with Silent Night. Jennifer's going to play, and we can all do. How many verses?
You don't need
Three verses.